Hello, you're watching TVP World News. I'm Jonasz Rewiński. In Poland's capital, Warsaw, European ministers of trade and finance have gathered for an informal two-day meeting. The summit, held at Warsaw's historic citadel, is chaired by Polish Minister of Finance Andrzej Domański. During the first day of the assembly, officials will discuss the macroeconomic consequences of Washington's trade tariffs for the European Union and talk about the competitiveness of European financial markets and their role in supporting investment. The meeting will also focus on defense spending, summarizing the discussions in this area held since the beginning of the Polish presidency in the EU Council. Other key topics include the current geopolitical situation and the state of financial markets. President Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff has arrived in Russia, where he is expected to meet with Vladimir Putin later on Friday. Axios reports that after his high-level talks in Moscow, Witkoff will fly to Oman, where direct US-Iran discussions are scheduled for Saturday. The meeting between the US envoy and Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi is aimed at reaching a deal over Tehran's nuclear program. Since returning to office in January, President Trump has repeatedly threatened Iran with military action if it does not agree to a deal. Defense officials from some 50 countries are gathering in Brussels NATO headquarters on Friday for the 27th meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, also known as the Ramstein Group. We go live now to our EU correspondent Alex Kadir to get the latest. So hello Alex, what is on the agenda today? What can we expect, especially in the light of the latest developments in Ukraine?
Well, what you can expect today from these ministers is renewed commitment to supporting Ukraine. We've seen that from the UK already, £450 million, about 470 million euros in contributions. That is a joint contribution from Norway and the UK, which will include hundreds of thousands of drones, anti-tank mines, and money to repair existing equipment that the UK has given to the Ukrainians. There will be other such commitments we expect throughout the day, but it comes in the context of a broader question. What happens after a peace deal? And that was the topic of yesterday's meeting here at NATO headquarters from the coalition of the willing countries. We heard that the plans were being drawn up by the UK, by France, by others. We heard that from the UK Defence Secretary John Healey. Let's have a listen to what he said.
Our planning is real and substantial. Our plans are well developed, and we have clear objectives for Ukraine.
Well, a few of us spoke to John Healey after he said that yesterday, and there were no more details provided. Now, the explanation there was, of course, these are military plans, and military plans have to stay quiet. But someone who was in the room was the EU's top diplomat, Kaja Kallas. She was asked earlier today if she was any clearer on those plans, on the details of those plans. Well, let's hear what she said.
No, I mean, the different member states, like I said, have different opinions, and the discussions are still ongoing.
So no clarity on the detail of those plans at the moment. You have the UK on one hand saying they are detailed, they are real, they are substantial. Now, I've spoken to officials who were in the room and they said, well, Kaja Kallas was shown detailed plans, but that debate, that confusion continues to rumble on. That will be one of the big questions, particularly as one of the things that will have to underpin these plans, as I understand it, will be US support. That remains uncertain.
So still many question marks hanging above the results of the talks held in Brussels today. Alex Kadir was joining us to provide us with the latest on the summit. And now we're moving on to our next story. The United States must be part of Ukraine's security in the future. These are the words of the British State Minister for Europe and North America, Stephen Doty, at the Antalya Diplomacy Forum. We are now joined by our correspondent Kazimierz Łysiak, who spoke with the minister. Kazimierz, what is the context for this comment?
Hello, Jonas. Yes, I've just spoken with the UK State Minister for Europe, North America and Overseas Territories, Mr. Stephen Doughty, and I asked him about the future of the Coalition of the Willing in the context of yesterday's summit mentioned by Alex just now in Brussels. Now, the Coalition of the Willing is led by the United Kingdom and France, and the idea is to put European troops on the ground in Ukraine in the future to safeguard a potential peace setup, hopefully in the future. So far, we haven't seen that ceasefire as Russia continues to refuse to agree to the terms presented by the United States. Now, I asked Minister Doughty whether the US could be persuaded to join the coalition of the willing, as so far it refuses to do so. The US Donald Trump administration says that it is Europe which has to put up troops on the ground in Ukraine. However, Minister Doughty has said that the US has to be part, in some way at least, of this project. Whether it will be intelligence sharing or any other way, we just don't know. But according to the UK government, the US must be part of the security guarantees in Ukraine in one way or another. Now, we are here at the Antalya Diplomacy Forum. It's one of the biggest diplomatic events in the world. There is the Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha present here at the forum, as well as many other diplomats and officials from all over the world. Ukraine definitely will be on top of the agenda here, so we will bring you the latest throughout the day.
Kazimierz Łysiak with the latest update live from Turkey. Kazimierz, thank you very much for joining us. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has announced a new sanctions package targeting Russia's shadow fleet. His statement coincides with a proposed US law also targeting Moscow's fleet of ships, which was introduced by a bipartisan group of senators on the 9th of April.
I have also instructed lawmakers to draft new Ukrainian sanctions packages. Our security services have provided appropriate justification. These will be strong sanctions targeting the shadow tanker fleet Moscow uses to finance the war, targeting war propagandists who try to weaken our defense and support Russia, and also targeting some officials, names well known to all Ukrainians who once held influence. Preparations for relevant bills are ongoing, and everything will be rolled out step by step. We are also working to synchronize these Ukrainian sanctions packages with the decisions of our partners, especially in the European Union and other key jurisdictions around the world.
US Ambassador to Ukraine Bridget Brink will be leaving her post ahead of the scheduled end of her tenure. The reports were confirmed by the US State Department late Thursday evening. According to sources in the Trump administration, Ambassador Brink has not yet formally submitted her resignation. At the same time, over the past day, she has reportedly been making farewell calls to her colleagues. As per one unnamed senior US official, her resignation stems from a mix of personal and policy concerns, including recent layoffs in the US aid agency. Moreover, Brink has been stationed for the past 3 years in a war zone, where diplomats serve without bringing their families along. A Russian-American woman who was freed in a prisoner exchange has arrived in the United States. Prior to her release, she had been sentenced to 12 years in a Russian prison for donating to a Ukrainian charity. Ksenia Karelina is a dual citizen whom a Russian court found guilty last year of treason for donating just over $50 to a US-based charity providing humanitarian support to Kiev. The 34-year-old ballerina has returned to Joint Base Andrews in Maryland, where she was met by her loved ones. Karelina was exchanged for a dual German-Russian citizen, Arthur Petrov, whom the US authorities accused of masterminding a global smuggling ring to harvest sensitive electronics for Russia's military. The exchange took place at an airport in Abu Dhabi after US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff raised her case with Vladimir Putin during a call last week. Prince Harry visited wounded soldiers in Lviv during an unexpected visit to Ukraine on Thursday. The trip was announced by Ukrainian authorities and the prince's spokesperson late Thursday evening. The member of the British royal family arrived in the country as part of his ongoing work with wounded veterans affected by Russia's aggression against Ukraine. His visit to Lviv was only announced to the public after he left from the country. Harry visited a special center which provides free prosthetics, reconstructive surgery and psychological support to soldiers. Croatian Prime Minister Andrej Plenković has urged the Serbian government to explain why it expelled 3 citizens of Croatia.
The official condemned the move and said his country expects clarification over the, quote, unacceptable practice. Plenković went on to dismiss claims made by Serbia that the 3 Croatians had been interfering in Serbian internal politics. In the most recent and highly publicized case, Croatian doctor Arjen Stojanović Ivković was deemed, quote, an unacceptable security risk. She was given a week to leave the country and was barred from entering Serbia for 1 year. In the aftermath of the expulsion, the Croatian Prime Minister said he notified the European Union about the incident involving Serbia, a candidate to join the bloc. According to the Croatian government, some 32 cases of expulsions or bans on entering Serbia have been recorded in recent months.
And with this, we conclude our news bulletin. Please stay with us here on TVP World. I'm Janusz Lewiński. Bye for now.